more planes drawn. Again, some of this stuff, you have to understand it inside of your head. However, you want to draw in your own style. Now, with me, I was like a maniac, and I used to want to understand each technique. And for years, I would draw each technique to its completion. And then it wasn't until maybe a few years ago that all that stuff just became so ingrained in my head that it became put into my subconscious, and I just drew like in a more organic, looser way. However, I think it's imperative that you do some of these planes drawings for yourself, just because they're really important. They're really going to add to your drawings and make them look a little bit more dynamic. Once you got to try them first physically, is what I'm trying to say, before you can master them mentally. Now let's get into this foot right over here. So now let's get into the big picture, and the big picture is this would be, let's see, top plane. Okay, then the first set of flanges are going to be a top plane, front plane of the metatarsals. Now let's get in a front plane of the last two digits, we're going to call them, of the flanges. And now let's go to the big toe. And this big toe, let's just do something different. Now we can treat it as a box. This would be the box, but it's also a cylinder. So you got to think both at the same time. I know that could be like a little frustrating, and I'm not giving you a definitive answer as to, is it a box or is it a cylinder? It's both. And you got to be able to see it both ways, the ball, the foot too. So now you see how I drew this line over here, and you see how I'm treating that more in like a box-like manner. However, it's kind of also round. You definitely want to be able to see both. You want to see this as a round entity, and you want to see it as a box-like form as well. So now let's just go in over here and get in the front plane of that. All right, so that's kind of cool. Now let's add like a little light and shade. So now the front, if the light's coming from the side and the top, front plane of these toes is going to be in shadow. Partially in shadow is the front plane of that toe, and this toe is cast in a shadow. This extensor tendon is actually the part from the tendon over. Let me move it over to the right. I'm sorry, to the left. From the tendon over, that's where the plane shift really is happening. So now I can just find the line that separates the light from the dark,